right, guys, I'm going to start by saying, who else noticed this? Am I the only one who noticed this? 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 That's a hat on a cat head. Soon as I saw that, I was cursed with this knowledge. I'm not an essayist. I do not put my thoughts down in distinct, clear paragraph essay patterns. I do not have a thesis, body paragraphs explaining what I've discovered, and then a proper conclusion. I do not do all that. I haven't done all that since high school, and it's been over a decade since I've left high school. I don't do that. But I was cursed with this knowledge, and I have looked it up, no one else has pointed this out. No one else has pointed this out. So here I am. I'm pointing it out for you guys. Don't expect this to be very clear thoughts. They are obviously not. I am just an insane woman with some insane amounts of time on my hands. I am not one-handed. Okay. So I noticed this. I noticed this damn little hat, and the obvious comparison is big bodysuit, little cat head, little hat. Well, Burgerpants doesn't have a little head, but that further goes into my thesis. Okay? Okay. We're going to start from the top. I got my refreshingly cool evidence, my tepid evidence, and my lukewarm evidence, and then what it means. So let's go with my strong evidence. First, its appearance. We're looking at this right now, right? You're looking at this. You see what I see. Small kitten hat under a large mascot-like head. The nipples, I don't know, right here. What is Toby's deal with nipples? But anyway, they both have very defined nipples. Very defined nipples. Why? I don't know. But these nipples are very similar colors. You can look at my mouse here. You can see they're not the exact same colors, but they're very similar colors to Burgerpants, Pizzapants, pants. And it's there, right? I'm not the only one who sees this. So some obvious bigger comparisons. They have a scary face, but they're more than willing to show off their scary face if asked. Like, this guy's like, face scary, don't show. You want to see? And then that second he's like, look, there's my face. Anyway. So, and of course, Burgerpants is much the same, except it comes to like his inner feelings. He's willing to show his inner self if you actually sit there and listen to him. They both have an aversion to hot or attractive people. Look, this is the nail in the coffin for me. Be careful. Many hot peoples live in that place. Cruel to those with a horrible face. Do not like. And then we all know Burgerpants never interact with attractive people unless you're one of them. They're just going to take advantage of you. Friendship is just a hot person's way of making you their slave. And then there is this added stuff. I won't get into all of this just yet, but right here, never let hot people think you care. That's how they get you. So like they both have this weird aversion towards attractive hot people. And then this one, contextually, which is further context over here, but contextually, we see Jackenstein during one of Pizzapants' Burgerpants' biggest emotional moments in the game thus far. You go to Burgerpants, he's excited for his date with Pizzarina, and he's like, I even got it set up in my nice prom duct tape suit. Another thing that I think might slightly, because this is a very stitched up looking outfit, that might be, but that's a very, again, lukewarm theory, is that duct tape suit sewn together, whatever. Anyway, he's all excited for it, and then you go into chapter 4, and you have all this shit happen. You meet Jackenstein, and you come back, and the date was a fucking flop. I don't care if I curse. I'm not doing this for kids. But anyway, it was a fucking flop. Guy breaks down. He's like, nobody even likes me. Why did I think anyone would like me? Nobody even uses my real name. And we don't get to hear his name, obviously, because Toby likes to shaft us because he is a mad genius. But anyway, so contextually, it's like contextually we're seeing a bit of like Burgerpants' real self hidden behind the act, I would say. He very much masks from day to day. So they both struggle talking to people. They have trouble not being awkward. They're trying to be themselves, but they're also like, Burgerpants struggles at being himself because he doesn't know how to interact like a normal person. Both of them, you have to do something. You have to in some way help them first before you can interact with them. Again, this is kind of mid-evidence. This is tepid. But for Burgerpants, initially, you're either friends with Azrael and Deltarune, or you have to actually buy something in Undertale before he'll talk to you. And then, of course, Jackenstein, you have to flash the light at him, make him show you his real self, and then help him with healing. This one I think is interesting. You're taking too long. Who besides a service worker would be yelled at all the time for taking too long? I'm just saying, it seems like a very, very common thing somebody in Burgerpants, Pizzapants' line of work would have to deal with. And then, of course, obviously, it's what is documented that Jackenstein is basically a walking YouTube poop. Like, what he says, how he says it, he's a big meme, a big joke, and that is something else that is often tied to Pizzapants and Burgerpants. Is he's kind of a walking shitpost, as my friend puts it. He's a walking shitpost. So you have, I just feel like these things are connected. Burgerpants is the penultimate version of those guys who make memes their entire personality. You know, I mean, BP even likes the vintage memes. If you recall in while talking to Pizzarina, he's like, oh, she's pulling out the vintage stuff, the frog on a bike. Like, YouTube poops are a vintage meme. I'm just saying. And then if we're talking, this kind of supports this one in a way, because if we're talking about contextually, you meet Burgerpants and Undertale between... Why did I put Gerson here? Why did I put Metaton twice? Wow. This should be Tenna. Whatever. Oh, no, wait. No, that's right. Okay. Anyway, contextually, both are working under somebody else. Of course, Burgerpants, Pizzapants, well, Burgerpants specifically worked under Metaton, while Jackenstein works under Gerson. Then this is the one that's contextually really interesting. We have the fact that you meet Burgerpants between the Metaton and the Undyne fight, whereas you meet Jackenstein between the Gerson and Tenna fight, which those are both mirroring fights. Like, we can all agree those are mirroring fights. So I just think contextually it makes sense. I already touched on the duct tape. Oh yeah, I was looking for how, I know that this isn't, I know the Halloween theme, this is very, very lukewarm. Very tiny theoretical evidence here, but Burgerpants doesn't really have a big Halloween theming to him. The only connection I could find to a Halloween theme is the dialogue where Metaton's kind of being a weirdo. Right here. I had to throw away all my clothes for outfits Metaton gave me. Don't get me wrong, they're all just weird get-ups. Promotional costumes for holidays or specials, or because he felt like it. That's the only like direct connection to holidays I could find for Burgerpants. I do think Jackenstein is more than just a Burgerpants Pizzapants mirror, I think he might also be mirroring Napstablook because he has a similar leitmotif in as to Ghost Dance. And he also has like the spooky Halloween themes going on with him. I think he might be a mirror to more than one thing, but I think he is primarily a Burgerpants mirror just because this is another one I noticed is like these smiles are very similar to me, and that's just like extremely shaky, flimsy evidence, but I'm just like, I see it. Let's see. Oh yeah, this was me theory crafting, but Pizzapants is obviously a friend of Azrael. Azrael is a very religious guy, especially because of his family. So I have to imagine that there's some connection between Pizzapants and the church, even though Pizzapants obviously doesn't go anymore. But I also think because Azrael is like a game dev in his own right, that obviously Pizzapants might like video games. But again, that is extremely flimsy. Both of them referred to as their friend in different ways. You know, we got Little Buddy, which is obviously Pizzapants's, and then Friend, which is Jackenstein's. Oh yeah, and then the other thing, if you go back and talk to this pumpkin head as it's sitting on the bookshelves, you can either tell it a joke or tell it a story. And if you try and tell it a story, it cuts you off and it's like, you're taking too long, and then just dips on you. And I don't know, that feels like how most people treat, you know, Pizzapants. So I'm just like, is that? Again, it's flimsy, but it's there. The other thing I noticed is visually, we got the little signpost. That I can't confirm. It's just another thing I noticed. All right. All this to say, do I think that Jackenstein is Burgerpants? No. I do not think that. I don't think that at all. I think a lot of the characters in the Dark World mirror attributes and show like inner reflections of other characters within the Light World. That's something I've noticed, is a lot of them seem to do that. And I just think when you notice this connection, it does something really interesting for Burgerpants' personality, for his inner thoughts about himself. Because when I look at this and I'm like, is this how Burgerpants might see himself? Does he see himself as this scared little cat trapped inside a big scary body where his face scares people away, but he wants to express that inner self so bad, but he feels like he can't because nobody likes him, everyone's out to get him. I feel like the persona he is putting on is just a lot of, masking, actually, because he's trying to act normal and doesn't really quite know how to. He ends up doing this thing where he's overcompensating his emotions to the point that it almost comes off cartoonish, and that can be a bit much for people. There's never a point where any other single monster outright calls BP unattractive or ugly or anything like that at any point. If they ever point out something that they don't like about him, it is always to do with his personality and how he comes off. When he's not so stuck in his own head about his own woes and struggles and how he views himself, when he is just being his own genuine self, he's actually quite witty. He's funny. I mean, everybody jokes about how badass Burgerpants is in the genocide route, because he's like, he calls you out for what you are. You're a little weirdo. He has no fear of your threats. If only he could tackle the rest of his life that same way. If he could throw away this fear of rejection, throw away this fear of not being one of the in folks, not being one of the cool guys, I feel like he would actually be one of the cool guys. And I think that's the biggest, almost funniest aspect of his character, is the fact that there is this witty, funny, cool guy underneath, but he's just drowning himself in his own social anxiety. He's just drowning himself in his own self-reflections and projections. And, you know, I think the biggest thing that contrasts what he perceives himself as and how others see him is the fact that Blue Ears, nice cream guy, Blue Bunny, it's obvious he's crushing on the guy. And it shows that he's not an entirely unappealing monster in his own right. And this is a world of crazy monster designs. We have our Erins, our Washuas. We have the whole spectrum of monster designs. And everybody has been shown to be accepting. So instead, it's BP's overprojecting, overcompensating, nihilistic views that are kind of making him more off-putting towards others. And I feel like there's a crack at that when Jackenstein shows his cute little head and he's like, it's awful, it's ugly, everybody's scared of me. And Rousey's like, oh, I think it's kind of cute. It might be a jab at that idea, is the fact that Burgerpants in himself, Pizzapants in himself, could actually be a really cute monster. He just has to get out of his own head, present himself more honestly, and without assigning and projecting his own self-worth issues on how other people view him. You know? So he finds himself to be this hideous freak that no one can ever like, but that's just how he sees himself. And I think that is the biggest mirror between Burgerpants, Pizzapants, the character, and this dark world reflection in Jackenstein. And I feel like Jackenstein is a great reflection of that, because I don't think that Jackenstein is Burgerpants directly. I just, again, think he's a mirror. He's a reflection to the kind of person Pizzapants sees himself as. Big, he's this scared little cat in this big, blundering body, wearing a mask of his own face because he's afraid that he's scaring everybody else away from him. And I just find that so fascinating. And I don't know, I just find that really interesting. And I just hated being cursed with the knowledge. I hated being cursed with this knowledge because I'm not an articulate enough person to create a whole thesis, to create a big, lavish, beautiful essay for you to listen to that explains these thoughts that came to me when I noticed this. I'm just another weirdo on the internet who's like, look at this. Just look at it. Look at it. Do you see what I'm seeing? Do you see what I'm seeing? I don't know. I hope you do, because I see it, and I want other people to see it. That's it. I do not have any fancy dancy special way of explaining how I feel. There it is. You see it, right? You see it, right? Yeah. Okay. That's it. Thanks for I don't know, watching this. I don't know why you watched this. Why did you watch this? I hope it was interesting anyway. Okay. Bye. Na 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 na. Wa da 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 da.